Probably must. So, okay, sharing my screen. Yeah, but you need to find where to turn it off. I need it for myself for the presentation. So let me hide the floating controls. I'm the only one in. Oh, somebody is joining. Let's admit. Welcome, welcome. Let's see who is there. Oh, my note taker is there. Welcome. Okay, good. It will take notes. So, welcome everybody. Today is January 22nd, Thursday, 2026. And this is our, oh, somebody wants to, okay, approve. Okay. Somebody else want to join. A lot of, recording stuff. Okay. Can I start my meeting? So this is meetup number 6 for Agentics Foundation Serbian chapter, where we are presenting and sharing the knowledge related to agentics engineering and agentics approach to development. So what is agentic and agentics AI? It refers to autonomous AI agents capable of independent reasoning and actions. And this is next frontier in applied artificial intelligence, enable machines to make decisions, adapt to new situations, and collaborate with humans and other agents. It was founded by Ruben Cohen from Toronto, Canada, and it's a not-for-profit organization dedicated to making AI innovation and education open to everyone by supporting the development and deployment of open-source agentics AI systems. So how are we doing that? Through the open source projects that community members are creating and sharing, through the education, hands-on development, practical education toolkits, and community building a global network of developers, researchers, and enthusiasts using the online events, in-person events, or hybrid events like this one that's like live, that's being recorded and shared later with the community. For more information about Agentics Foundation, you can visit this website, or you can go and watch the recordings of all the previous sessions of the Vibecasts and AI Hackerspaces and the London chapter and other chapters are doing all around the world, where members of the foundations are sharing the tools that they are creating and the approach how they are doing their development. So in our previous events, we were working on a project community social network application. That's something that we started all doing together because community selected that, maybe, to try to make it, much bigger. And let me again hide the controls. And let me see if I can find the original specification. Yes, somewhere, let's call it. This would be the original specification from which started the project. No, the original, it was like a couple of sentences that we gave to one of the models to help us write the MVP, PRD. And, from there, we started doing the development applying a Spark framework, meaning we first, based on the PRD, developed the specification, and who wants can go and check in details. Each module is defined in its own specification. Code is available, repo is publicly available. You can, I will not go now into details. From that specification, after we validated the requirements and everything, we created the pseudocode for each of the modules of the application. And here is like an example of the pseudocode, meaning you will get like a data structure, you will get some, model algorithms of how the flow and the user actions expected. And from that pseudocode, we created then the architecture for each of these modules. So now we have the draft of the architecture for our application. For instance, this is authentication module, and you can see, what is the, let's say, plan developed based on the just couple of sentences in the initial PRD. We go to the architecture. In the previous meetup, number 5, based on all of these documents, we started generated code, and we already got like, I think, more than 140 files. So most of the application has been generated last time in less than 45 minutes with the, quite, let's say, comprehensive test suite on the unit integration, and we are missing end-to-end tests level because we need a running application for it to be able to run the end-to-end tests. What I would like for us to try, in this session, so this was like a quick intro for those that are here first time, so know where we are here, how we got here, sorry. And there were a couple of changes in the last, 3 or 4 weeks is our last meetup, because the last meetup was on 30th of December last year. And if you are using Cloud Code in your IDEs, my suggestion is they release some update, I think today or last night, and created like a native installer now for Cloud. And if you were using just npm installers, use now Cloud install to install the new native version of Cloud, or you will get like a warning and message in your, standard CLIs, to do that. So I did this, before this session, and as there was also several more changes in the tools that were created in the last couple of weeks, I would like also to install the Cloudflow latest version, because we were working with last time with the version 2.7 point something, and Ruben released version 3 of the Cloudflow that brings some significant changes again into how the Cloudflow orchestration workflow works. And I used, or he implemented, domain-driven development system into the new Cloudflow and guiding the agents using the architectural decision records. So when I saw, and I got like access to his alpha version before he released that into public, I noticed that I can use that to rewrite my fleet, my Agentic QE fleet completely, also using the domain-driven design architecture. And in 14 days, I completely rewrote the application from previous version 2.8 something to now 3. Now it's already 3, 2.2. Yeah. I had like more than 10 releases since yesterday, fixing problems with the npm packages and dependencies. So that's something when you're first time I was doing like testing the alpha releases from the separate working branch. And when I merged everything into main, I had like a lot of problems to fix the wrongly created dependencies. Let me see if that one is still working. So while that one is working, I would like to show you why you should, for instance, if you previously used Agentic Quality Engineering Fleet version 2, why would you like switch to version 3? So what did I manage to do in this, last 2 weeks? So some metrics, reduction in the number of files is quite significant because even the first version was at the start vibe coded. Then, I started applying engineering principles and it started growing and growing and growing. And as I was adding features and didn't have a proper way to guide the agents in those early stages, 3 months ago, then my original fleet, grow significantly. But in the version 3, that goes, to only like less than 550, files in the V3. I implemented now domain-driven design, and we created 12 quality-related contexts that are, let's find it. These are the new domains that are really allowing agents to go deep. So by giving them architectural and let's say domain constraints, you can, you really let them go much deeper than they could without this type of context. Again, some comparison with the V2, I had loosely organized agents. Now they are queen coordinated agents. So there is like a new queen coordinator to organize complete work of the agents. Okay, Cloudflow finished. And as I also released new version in the meantime, let me install also Agentic QE Fleet latest. And let's see if this will work. I had some problems with the migration. Maybe I will need to uninstall the previous version. But you will see, live debugging. Okay, I added a couple of new QA skills. MCP integration is, still there with a, new list and set of tools available. So you can use Agentic QE Fleet is intended to be used and you get best results from the Cloud Code, but you can use it from any agent-assisted development tool that has MCP tool access. So you can add, configure and use it outside of the Cloud Code, but the best results are inside the Cloud Code. From the learning that I was implementing originally in the V2 version, I went level above by reusing a lot of building blocks created by Ruven. So I'm reusing heavily his RuVector, Agentic Flow, and Cloudflow building blocks in order to build on top of them my quality engineering fleet. And I will show you later some of the repos that you should visit and check, because some of these things are can enable your application to do some crazy things. Okay, this is installed also. Nice. Now I need to initialize new versions, and this will be a good thing. So you will see before that, I wanted to make a small experiment. So we did write a version of application last time. So we have a source and tests, but I want to try something completely different now. I want to try also to apply the domain-driven design principle and create the ADRs before doing the code. So what I will do, I will go back a step, before, to when we only had the specification, pseudocode, and architecture before the code. So this was the phase when we implemented the code. Let me see if I can create create branch. Okay, this will be DDD. approach. Okay. Okay, and I don't want any of these changes. Bye. So we have that on that branch. I just, went one commit before, and, we will start clean. Okay, undo all changes. There is a lot of changes. Come on. We don't need anything of that. Okay, let's publish this branch. Okay, and let me see. Let me double check. So let me just delete this, and this, we don't need anything of that. We have the documentation. That's the thing that we need to have. That's what I wanted to have before we start. Okay, do I need to commit? Nothing, branch is clean. Beautiful. Cloud, flow, init, start all force. So, oh, wrong command. That would not work. So with this way, I'm initializing the new version of Cloudflow in the project, and it will now, do initializations of and add new settings, update the existing skills because, they're already existed in the project. And I think it's now probably finding the old memory database and trying to migrate it. Yep. Yeah, it found the old database. That's why, now the daemon is started. And really neat thing about Cloudflow version 3 are the hooks and the backend worker system that it creates. So what it created now, okay, this is not tracked. So you cannot see what was created with this initialization, or you can check previously, but I know that it created here a lot of these helper scripts. So, when you do initialization of Cloudflow in your project, ask Claude, okay, explain me all these helpers. Just point to this folder and ask, what can I do with this? And how will this help? Because there is like a lot of golden nuggets there that will help your system self-learn and self-improve while it's working. So you can just ask it, okay, if something is missed in the original configuration, just ask it, to set it up and initialize. Because what is giving, the power is this, hooks system that are being triggered pre and post tools used. And on, different types of hooks that are controlling, and helping the system. And you will see, just in a second, what we can do with this. Now I will initiate new version of auto migrate of, because I know I have the previous version of Agentic QE Fleet here. I need also to do the migration of that, because I will install now the new version V3, and I also did, okay, we found the database, we migrated, okay, nice, memory is saved. Because I didn't want to lose the patterns that our agents previously learned for those, because for those that were, first time here, Agentic QE Fleet agents are using and, saving, this, what happened? Okay, there are some things here. Let's see, do we have patterns? Not in this, why? Okay, I need to show you in another project. But here, all done by Agentic QE Fleet should be saved. I need to check why it was not saved there previously, but maybe migration deleted something. Okay, now we are ready. I'm starting now the Cloud instance with the alias created for the Cloud dangerous escape permission. So I'm running always in this mode, Cloud Dangerous Skip Permission mode. And I created alias for that in the bash RC in your terminal, or depending on the environment you are running, you can add an alias so you don't need to type every time Cloud Dangerous Skip Permission or copy it, paste from somewhere. I create an alias so I can invoke it. Oh, what happened? No such file. Oh, looks like with the new version, it's not anymore there. So let's see now. Which cloud? Okay, there is cloud. So what's not working then? Let's try like this. Huh. Interesting. So maybe better to install then the version with the npm. Cloud install. Location is there, but it cannot find it. Symlink. Let's try with another terminal. Yes. Like, what? The Symlink problem, but yeah, nice catch. Oh, I think when you initiate the Cloudflow V3, you will get this status line here. You can modify it for your project to track, I can show you later. But, let's continue working. We need to give our agent something to work on. So let's see what's tracked here. Oh, first thing we need to do, we need to fix. Okay, analyze. Cloudflow V3 adds a lot to, creates Cloud MD file with a lot of data that is not needed in my opinion. So analyze Cloud MD and update it. Oh, I have a helper. Keep only important data in the file and put the rest of in helper files. Links only in CloudMD. Okay, it still doesn't know how to do this. But yeah, this is Whisper for those who are not familiar. It's, you can dictate, whatever into, and it's quite good for using it in IDEs. It needs, slightly corrections. So while this one is working on this, okay, we don't need the one that was broken. Let's start a new session here. And I don't need the backup. So while that one is working on reducing the size of the CloudMD, we will start, because with the new initialization of the both Cloudflow V3 and Agentic QE Fleet V3, now there is a whole new bunch of new agents in the V3 folder, both from the quality engineering and Cloudflow set. And let me just find, where is the DDD one? Oh, no, that's in the skills. Where is the DDD skill? Okay, looks like we will need to create the domain-driven. We are missing the skill. Okay. Create a new skill for DDD. Check how Cloudflow V3 did it. Okay. Why it's not here? I was expecting it to be here. Huh. Look like it's not there, but we will just now create a new skill. So I will create now on purpose new skill just for this project, for domain-driven design, but I know I have that kind of skill. Let me check my repo. So let me start. Yeah, all my Visual Studio code instances are really running using Docker devpod to run the Docker instance and to spin up Visual Studio Code server. Okay, this is my, let's go on this one. This is my repo. Okay, let me see. I know that I had somewhere those skills. Where is the DDD skill? Huh. Let's ask. Know that we had DDD skill and DDD agents. Maybe some init did some cleanup. Oh, there is the ADR architect. Okay, the one. Oh, there is the DDD. I know there should be, but where they are in that init. So I'm missing a couple of these. Okay, let's use this. Or no, yeah. Let's use this an example. While it's working, you can add to the context. So this is also like a neat thing with the Cloud Code. Here is an example of ADR architect agent. Use it to guide the skill development. Okay. Now paste. Okay. Now let's check what's happening here. Okay. This one is now reducing the Cloud MD, and it's keeping only essential behavior rules in it. And that's like also like advice thing when you're working with the Cloud code, try to keep the Cloud MD neat and clean, and just put the links there to the stuff that it needs to fetch when it's needed. So only keep the essential information. So CLI commands, hooks, references, other stuff, they can be in the helper files and reference only in the CloudMD. Okay, let's see what this one is working on. I just gave him. Okay, it needs, to work on, and let's see if yeah. Looks like right now, maybe we have some, workers working in backend, because you can see from time to time in the Docker instance, the CPU, when the agents are active in the system, and there are some backend workers working behind in the cloud flow, doing some maintenance and, finding some patterns and doing some learning while the system is working. So it can cause a spike in the CPU while you are working. Okay, let's see this one. Are you done? Almost. Okay, we will have here agents that we will use then as an architect. Okay, and while this one is working here, any questions? Maybe I can, show something while, from my fleet while you're waiting for that to finish. What should we ask, Claude?
What are all these learning patterns?
Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to show you. Good, you just reminded me. Nice. So in my project that I've been working for a while in it, come on, move. Yeah, and this is how it looks when there is data in it. So you will see, dream cycles executed daily. You will see dream insights that are agents getting by running those dream cycles and trying to increase the confidence of the identified patterns. You will see the events that are being captured. Goal actions. Yeah, I have some goal actions here. This is like a key value store. This is something recently. So this is only with the V3 because my system also offers code intelligence agents. When you initialize it in the project, you can ask it, okay, create me a completely like a graph of the knowledge graph of the code base and documents and everything. And it will create graph. Let me just see. It should be in the, maybe it's in another database. Let's see what's saved here. Can you open it? Maybe not. And
for which languages do you have the support?
sorry?
For which languages do you have the support in the graph?
Let's ask. I think out of the box, TypeScript, JavaScript, Java, Rust, but what does our code intelligence agent support out of the box? Because you can, change what does, no, what languages, no, what stack, okay. Our code intelligent agent supports out the box. Yes?
The graph.
It uses ASP to create. It's one of the things it uses, and that's the next question that maybe I can ask for it to answer, is it uses the not only the ASP, but I use also like a Web3 parser. So, several tools to create structure, and we use something that's called like a C4 module approach. So where is this? So let me show you C4. I don't know if you are familiar with this. So how I implemented the code intelligence agent is to use this approach. So it will create the high level context, system context level diagram. Then it will create the container level diagram, then component, and then the code level diagram. And let's ask the question, show me KG for our V3 and C for what are there. He creates a certain type of the file and see diagrams. Okay, well, this one is working on that. Let's see if this one is done. Okay, this one created now a new skill, but it's not being tracked. And because it's not being tracked, we cannot see it in the source control, but we can see that it created DDD design. Let's see if it's now here. There, woohoo! We have a new skill. And now, because Cloudflow, both Cloudflow and Agentic QE Fleet know what domain-driven design is, because it was part of their architecture when they were built. That's why when I invoked agent in this context, it knew without additional information how to write this type of skill. So this was like a hidden grounding of the agent working on this, because it was using already the knowledge from the orchestration and the quality engineering platform here. And this is, what and how it will apply, the principles and how it will guide the implementation. And yeah, okay, this is TypeScript project. So, that's why, it's using that. Domains, how it will create them. Okay, let's see when we start using the skill. Are you done? No. Are you done? This one is done. So this was the reduction of the CloudMD. So let's reload it. Command C twice. And DSP minus C if I want to, or dash C if I want to continue the previous session. But as I'm working now in parallel in two terminals, this will probably go to the active session. So if I do this, I will be connected to the active session. That's my assumption. But let's see where it will go. But this should load only the CloudMD reduced and a lot of other things that is slowing down the loading. And if it's loading the context and the previous session was already at the limit, it will take some time. Okay, this one is almost done. It's struggling. Okay, let's go back to the question about how the code intelligent agent works and which stack. So here is a summary. So yes, AST parsing, Python support, and then something else that we are adding. We are doing vector embeddings that are later we can query on top of them. And this is how it looks like. Context container component. And here are the mermaid diagrams for the V3. Okay, how can I fetch them? Okay. There should be. Oh no, this is the source. This is the model. Okay. Okay. So next question was let's see, what did we ask? Okay. How self-learning system works in V3. Okay, while that one is working on that. Come on. Today? No? Aha. Oh, yeah, this one connected to that session. Okay, we are now both connected. Let me start a fresh session. I don't want to continue on this one. But as we already have this skill, I can immediately start to use it. So while that one is working, and why is my... Now I know what you will ask. The first question to ask. Somebody wants to enter. Please join. Okay. Come on, Mac. You're misbehaving. Demo gods. I have new people here watching. Don't do this now. Okay, this one is looking at how this works. Today, please, or I need to kill the session. There, finally. I wanted to show you. Let's see what's the size of the context right now. Probably it would be better if I showed it before and after for the size of how much the CloudMD, because it's the biggest thing right now so if you look, CloudMD takes now, even with the reduced size, 2K tokens, but the other things that are available to agent are not taking that much context. So only like 33K. And it's, if you take a look, MCP tools and custom agents are really just taking small amount of space, but they can be, invoked without the problem. So let's use the DDD, design skill. So yeah, shortcuts for skills. Start with the slash and start the couple of first letter and the skill or the plugin or whatever will be available. If you want to invoke agent or add a certain file to ground the agent in certain context, you just add. And then, when you start typing, for instance, QE, come on, and where are my agents? Huh. Maybe something changed. I need to, check. This should, show the agent. Oh, there it was. Where it was. QE. Those are the skills. I don't want skills. Guys, when Claude was updated today, so I'm you're just seeing that it's misbehaving. So let's go back to the original thought. Use this skill and create ADRs based on the architecture. Can we now find the architecture documents? There. Just the folder. Based on the original specification. Okay. Now, this is the step that I wanted to, go back and add this before starting the code of agents. So, and we will have to compare. So we have, one version that is already on the main branch because, previous work from the previous session, I already merged on the main branch. And then we will have the new code produced after applying the design-driven development and architectural decision records before doing the implementation. Okay.
Do you always manually evoke the skill?
No, but in this way, I'm certain that it will use the skill. This is, how I know that it invoked the skill.
That your context is small, but is it really small? Does the LLM have enough attention to operate with all the skills?
It defines the skill. I can even try, let's try in another window. This probably should work faster than the. No. Oh, yeah, I forgot the question that I want. Oh, this one is still working. Ah, it's adding hooks. Nice. Okay. Can you repeat the question? Sorry, I just lost it.
The question is, does it always use the correct skills if you do not explicitly specify them?
Yes. So let's say use Sherlock review and analyze our self-learning module. So let's see if it will know. I know that there is Sherlock review skill available. But let's see if it, based on the keywords. I didn't add it there. So, keywords will trigger finding the skill. So that was enough. Yes? Questions?
If you do not specify that you want the Sherlock review,
Okay.
and you just give him the task, like find vulnerabilities.
Okay.
Will
Here in my fleet, it will, let's see what will, I want to test the thing. I'm used to certain type of prompting, and it's good, when I, hear how others would try to use it. So, let's try it, let's try it that way. Find me vulnerable, that security issues, okay? Or no, better, because security will just invoke the security scanner agent. Better, yeah. I will try to use the whisper. It will probably recognize if I don't break my tongue. There, I didn't switch in this environment. So in this dev pod, I didn't install the new version of the cloud, like, with that cloud install. Did you saw that yellow message popping up? That's the message that's popping up. Okay. So, no, oh, sorry, not that. Find me vulnerabilities. Yeah. It knows better than me. Just, this is the context of, my fleet, Cloudflow V3, my fleet is there. So let's see, what will invoke, with this. Look, it already launched specialized security agents in parallel. That was, I think quite enough, but, let's see. And let's see what the Sherlock is working on. This one is still working on the deep investigation. So if you encounter a bug in the system that it's not easy to fix, ask Sherlock review to look and find the possible solution. Let's see what's happening here. Okay, this one created a skill and agent. Thank you for that. And now we have the skill and agent to be used. And this one is already, as we were talking, so I didn't release the swarm. So this is everything just working in cloud code. So I just need, I'm still, waiting for these single-threaded actions to finish to start the swarm. Okay, this one launched to security agents. So here you can see they're running as a background tasks. Security, vulnerability audit, and OWASP security, scanning. Okay, two different types of security scanning available in the system. Okay, I didn't want this, but okay, that. Okay, hide. Now, this one is okay, looking somewhere. No. Still doing okay. Writing. So that's the thing when you're doing, working with agents, you will probably work, but at least I'm working like two projects in parallel. Because while you're waiting, or you can, go read something, learn some new stuff. I created something crazy with my Cloud desktop application today. I need to show you also that. Okay, while we are waiting, this one is done. Oh, this one is done. Look for running processes in this dev pod and check if some are stuck. But now it shouldn't be, as I don't feel the warmth of my laptop anymore. So it looks like the CPU consumption is down. Let me see. Not really. So if there's some stuck processes, and stop them. We have one more load code instance in another terminal. Not looks, but look. Okay. While this one is doing, this one is writing. Okay. Maybe we found some problems with this search. This is the Sherlock investigation. So let's see what it did find. So, reasoning bank, pattern learnings, claim, real transformer-based embeddings using Senova, blah, blah, blah. Evidence examined, okay, deductions, real. True, true, partially true, false. Okay, we need to check this. Oh, it took 92 milliseconds. Less than a second. That's a problem. Okay, where were we? It's when it starts jumping around. So investigation number 2, dream engine. So true. Spreading activation. Okay, this is okay. Trajectory tracking. Unverified and misleading. Okay, nice. And integration. Nice. Looks like my brutal honesty skill is helping, but let's see. So experience replay. Aha, only linear scan. So now we can fix this right now, but I will create a new GH issue for this. We will fix this tomorrow. Tomorrow is a new day. And that's also a thing. You can use GitHub issues easily to track either problems, either enhancements, feature requests, or whatever. So, use it. And then, if you ask agent to add create a plan with the steps to track and keep it regularly update, you will need probably to remind it from time to time to go back and do it again. So let's see what this one more is still working. So, okay. Let's wait for that one to finish while this one are working. Oh, this one created already doc number 10. So we have 10 documents already created. Let's check. But why they are not tracked? That's not good. Where are they? Huh. We will need to ask later. But let's see those that are created. If you're in, for instance, this is let's see, decision for what? Aha, because this is modular monolith. Okay. And this is see what platform should support. So that's how it will think of architecture, because this is what is, and it will adopt design as primary architectural approach. Nice. Strategic design, tactical design, ubiquitous language, and domain-centric architecture. Okay, this looks like, useful. Interfaces, application, domain, infrastructure. Some engineers here, any comments? Okay, we have some constraints, consequences, positive, negative, implementation guidelines, how it should work, and related decisions. Nice. We will go back to this as soon as it is done. Ooh, created. But where are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Where did you put the rest? What? Where are ADRs 0, 1, 1, 2, 5? That was interesting. Not putting everything in one folder. Okay, let's see. So, we have one in the workflow loader. Nice. I didn't run this last time I added this feature yesterday, so I will need to add to the pipeline security scanners. Thanks for this. This was the fix the critical ones. No, create a new GitHub issue. Create a new GH issue. Or yes.
Run this security check after any like PR or
that should be part of my actions, but as I was now switching, that was part of my old workflows. As I was switching from V2 to V3, I didn't updated workflows in GitHub properly.
Do you have problems with code quality?
Yes. Let's check. I like the no. Let's check because the code was written by agents. So guys, I ask agents. I'm not checking the code. And if you or whoever has time, can go and dive deeper, and verify the claims made by agents. But I'm checking tests, codes in tests. The implementation code, I'm skimming when it's working, and I'm noticing that it's adding things that that shouldn't be added there, but I'm not going back to double check later.
The bar tends to write shitty code, especially when you put it into the agentic loop when you have to run tests on the code and then rewrite code. It's like to add like crutches, it like to pass the tests just to achieve the goal. So I just wanted to know, do you have such problem and how you solve that? Like if you do not continuously manually check the code.
I'm using this brutal honesty review skill.
Okay, what is it?
That's one. When I do one round of implementation, one phase, I use that, and that one really goes deep into finding the problems. And that's the skill that is a combo of three persons that, in my context, are the biggest critics of the quality. And it is combo of Linus Torvalds, Gordon Ramsay for quality standards, and James Buck for bullshit detection.
Okay, so how is
So depending on the mode, if I ask it like a brutal, really like a do the brutal honesty, it will go and it finds the things that were not implemented. So I invoke it. Let me show you. I can even show you the skill. Skill is this 235. Yeah.
Another possible problem is that when you're using a sub-agent or a skill or something, it tends to find something, even if it's not there. So, and it also can cause.
That's why I'm, combining,
Yeah.
I'm using QE agents and then using the skill and, not trusting the output only of one.
it also can cause the quality of code to reduce over time because all these conflicting agents are disputing with each other about nonsense that does not exist or something. They can, even small problem, they can make it big. So this is also the problem that I'm facing usually.
Analyze code complexity, quality, code smells, security. This will run the fleet. So I'm running performance on V3 code. I didn't ground the previous agent, maybe the issues that it found, maybe I didn't check if it found something in the V2 also, but here I'm grounding it exactly in the V3 code. And let's see now how it will invoke. I forgot to ask it with the shared learning, but let's see if it will, start with the shared learning.
Can I ask some
Mm-hmm.
beginner questions? Since
Yes.
I know to agents and skills, and I'm just started doing it, and I don't know anything about both. I mean, I just started creating something, playing with agents, and now this gave me some light to all of this. And I want to ask, for example, if I have some basic starting project. So basically, I can install and use npm install in my project and use the fleet. Do I need to, will it work for everything? What if I want to use some part of the fleet, some agents?
Only you just can invoke only that agent that you need or that skill. Yes.
If I ask something, he won't just start doing
No,
it and
no.
use all my money in tokens. And
No, only if you invoke, if you ask specifically for that. So that's like the part of the prompt engineering in the whole, engineering part of this is, how to trigger the keywords, to get to the, certain behavior of agents. I know, which keywords to use because, this is the fleet that I developed. But there are, if you want to, so for instance, look, my prompt, analyze code complexity, quality, code smell, security, performance. So I didn't ask, for specific agents, but it knows that it needs to, okay, I'll ask Queen coordinator. So that's, I, ask, to be coordinated. So it started that and started each agent that is doing separate, part of the analysis. So each agent has its own specialization, and we can even watch they're running now as background tasks. What Cloudflow V3 added is it's not now it's on break. So it's taking a break. It's not burning tokens while the swarm is working. So as the agent per agent finishes, it will send back the hook that it's done. Then it will update this list with, oh, this agent finished. This agent finished. When the agents are done with their phase, I'm then asking the skill, okay, now check what these agents are claiming that have been done and what was really done. So this is like going in iterations, planning, development, QE, then skills, and then again fixing QE skills, fixing QE skills, and again. Is there an end to it? Yeah, you're just deploying. At some moment you need to say enough testing. That's what's the enough testing in the
Something like self-healing loop.
There is even a new skill I created based on the Ralph Wiggum. That's why you're saying there is like an iterative loop. You can invoke that if you want, but I don't like it because that's the token burner. So, in general, that's why, I prefer running the swarms because each of the swarms is really specialized agents and not wandering around like Claude Code knows to, and each of these agents is running as a subtask and it has its own context. And initially, the prompt that agent is started with is created by the Claude Code. So the Claude Code, based on the task that I will give it, will create the initial prompt that will, that prompt will use the, to start the subtask, invoke the certain agent, either QE agent or Claude Flow agent, depending on the type of the task. And then that is calling the infrastructure, or either Claude Flow orchestration and agent logic, or the Agentic QE Fleet agent logic, depending on which agent is running.
But now, for example, I mean, let's disregard the active usage. What happens if we are left out of session usage or weekly?
Okay.
Will it stop? I mean, I added something in my skill when it comes to end of auto context, or because I'm writing tests, because I'm working some skill for the tests, and for now it's too big. It uses the usage of context or starts auto compact. I said, okay, when it goes to you get that message, just write somewhere where you left off. And next time, then I open new context. But again, that wasted a lot of usage. And if you're running, I'm just trying to understand that if you're running this agent and you have sub agents, they have, it's not the usage of context, doesn't take it, but it takes your usage of
tokens, yes, but these tools learn in time in your project, collect patterns, and there is, I didn't manage to show, so that's maybe for the next session, the root vector and things. There are things that you can set up so the consumption of tokens from the vendors goes down, because agents are learning patterns and they have less need to go and call LLMs for reasonings, because they can find in their reasoning banks patterns that they learned. As previously I showed you those couple of in the memory bank, my agents are already learning, and I'm noticing the token consumption when I'm working on my project is all, much less than it was a month ago.
Do you have a vector database?
Yes, that's the root vector. So that's the database that Ruven created. And that's something that I didn't manage to show you, but where is the root vector? Root vector, root vector. Here it is. So this is the database that I'm using, root vector. And before this, today in the afternoon, I just used, I don't know if there is like a co-work now. So this is like a new feature in the Cloud desktop. Next to the code, you have the co-work. Co-work gives access. It's really like a Cloud code running behind with the access to the file system. So they packed now the Cloud code in the interface, but not the project level, like the Cloud code is doing, like tab that. There is now like this new workflow. And I just used this prompt, directed it to root vector, that readme file, and suggest how we can use this to set up so I can start collecting our conversation on projects we work, smart self-learning storage. And then it started. Oh, this is exciting kind of self-learning memory system that would, help me build persistent knowledge. And then we started, he had some questions and I can answer the questions, and he did set up, everything needed. And okay, first it did set up like a file persistent. Then can we use the SQLite for persistence, not to use the JSON? And then okay, and couple of done. Let's see, I cannot use it from chat, but I can use it, invoke it from other, convoke sessions. I just need to, invoke it and load the memory. Initially when I start the session, I just say load the memory system from QE vector and start working. And it already fetches whatever it saved. And now I exported all my sessions, projects, everything from the Cloud Code. You have the export button in the settings. So you go settings, you can export all the data that you did. I exported all the data, imported that, and, created like learn the system about our previous conversations. And now I can always ask it about any conversation that we ever had.
Is it local?
Yes.
And
It's local, it's in the folder, and it's, it's here, there.
What model are you using for embedding? What exactly are you putting in the context and creating? Like the whole text of your conversation?
Let's see, what did it did? So what did it capture from my session? So this is like an example. So we had like this was, explain how to use, this was the, what it tried to, and it created even like a graph link. Session led to learning.
Okay, so
Okay.
what is stored as a key, as a vector?
I need to open that, file to see, or maybe I can ask it, what's stored. I don't want to scroll down. There were, some personal data. I just, went, where I wanted to, where I can use it.
The reason why I'm asking is that I'm being kind of skeptic about RAGs based on vector databases.
Okay.
Because it is always, this cosinus match problem that is not like retrieving the correct data from the vector.
ON, like ON or what's, but these so similar, but yes, but that ON algorithm, this one uses different approach, and it uses hyper. Oh my God, what's the HNSW's hyper navigated small worlds? So it uses specific different type of search to find those vectors. And it uses, let's ask the system. I cannot even explain everything that it uses. I'm not skilled enough to explain all the concepts. So explain HNSF and how we store vectors, or what did you want, vectors? And how we do similar, how we retrieve vectors from DB. Oh, okay. This is in the in the session where this one is not done. Let's see. Maybe we can ask it somewhere else. This one is done. Okay, let's ask it here. Because there is interest, I'm keeping the session still running. When there is questions, I'm always eager to stay and explain over time. Okay. You will finish at some moment. Okay, let's see what we are there. Okay, these are the ADRs. Okay, next time, so I promise next time we will run the whole implementation, and that will probably be in the 2 weeks period, and we will continue on the community app, but with the ADRs and domain-driven design. Yeah, if you subscribed on the Luma, you will be invited to the next event automatically. Yeah. So here, here is the, let's see. So this is, okay, explaining the hierarchical navigable small world. That's the algorithm that it uses. Okay, and it's when it's inserting, doing this. When it's searching, doing this. Let me maybe increase even more where it is. Oh my God. Come on. Too much. Here. There you go. Oh. Ah! Come on. Don't do this. Down the... No, there. This was insertion search. Find k nearest neighbors of query q. Starts at the entry point, greedy search, does local minimum and stack, return top k results. So classical q value search, right?
So it's
HNSW. Hyper, what was that? Hierarchical navigable small words. What's that really? So that's for the hyper, it's not for the, classical LLMs are using that Euclidean plane. And that's why, and they are doing the shotgun approach. So they are trying to, solve the whole problem immediately. That's why they need the GPU, power intensive. This is doing only one specific task, trying to find the fastest route from A to B inside the world that it creates. And the world is all the possibilities, all the vectors in which you can go, right? So that would be, and it's like a so it's like a spherical. It's not the plane, it's the spherical. There is a name for that. Yes? Yeah, and it has even some, it has min cut implemented. That's an algorithm that finds and guys, you really need to take a look at some of the videos and recordings where Ruven is explaining this stuff, because he really, implemented this stuff, and I'm just going like and picking Lego blocks and, directing Claude and saying, okay, find me a way we can use this in my context, and it, does a crazy thing. Okay, let's see if there is online somebody with questions. No, just a bunch of note takers. Stop share, stop recording.